In this video, I'd like to talk about baking errors. In any program where we bake from a high poly to a low poly, we may get baking errors. And I've got an example here where I've baked from a high poly model of 19 million polygons, and I've baked it down to this cage here, which we can see when I preview the wireframe, this area here where I have baking errors, and you can see those on the actual UV map as well, here and here. Obviously we can go back and rebake this, but if we found ourselves in a position where we continue to work on this and didn't actually notice these, how can we edit these inside of 3D-Coat? So let's take a look. So now that we've identified our baking error, let's zoom in on our model and also on our UV map. This is the eye socket here and here. These are the nostrils, and this here is the baking error. And it's occurred on both sides of the head. Now let's zoom in a little bit closer on one of these sides. And let's change our map here from color. Now there is no real color on here, it's just this gray at the moment. But let's change that over from our UV set to normals. And we can see that error here. Now this technique is useful if we're just correcting small errors like these ones. But if it was a very large error, probably better to go and rebake. But as this is quite small, we can easily fix that here in the painting room. So the first thing I'm going to do is go up to my normal map here, and I'm going to unlock that map. And then I'm going to go to the normal map setting here, and I'm going to change it to a standard color. So now all that normal map information is just being shown and displayed in my viewport now as a color map. I'm going to hit number 2 on the keyboard, which is flat shading view, which gives me a pure representation of the color without any shading. And then I'm going to start sampling the colors around the error using the V key on the keyboard. And then I'm just going to start painting in. And I'm just blocking in the area and sampling colors around just to fix that little error. Now, this isn't going to work as it is, but what I can use here is Power Smooth. I'm just going to move closer into those areas where I just painted, and I'm just going to start to blend between the normal map and those extra painted areas that I placed in. And let's make that a little bit stronger. Let's go over to the other side and just repeat this because we've got one on this side as well. So again, going back to the brush where we're painting, and I'm going to sample the color around. And I'm going to go to Power Smooth, zoom in, and start to just blend those brush strokes with the baked normal map. Now this works quite well with this particular model because it's quite wrinkly and your eye can't really detect those errors once we zoom out. Now let's turn this layer here back into a normal map by changing its blend mode back over to normal map. And now I'll come out of flat shaded mode because that's why we've seen this grey area here. So that's number 5 on the keyboard. And we can see that our baking error is still there. We've corrected it in the normal map, but it's still there. And the reason for this is these other channels haven't been corrected yet. So let's go over to color and let's correct this one. So again, I can turn off, I can lock this layer now because I don't need to work on the normal map anymore. And then I'll come down here to where the color information is for this UV set, which has got this strange number here. So I'm just going to click on this layer, which is my color layer, and I can work inside of this texture editor here. I'm making sure that my color channel is on, so I'm only painting color information. I'm just going to sample a color from here. There's in, sorry, I've got my Power Smooth still on there, and I'm just going to paint in and remove that bake error on the color map. Same on the other side. We can still see that error there, and that's because we have one more map left that needs correcting, and that is the roughness map, and we can see it there. Now the roughness information is contained on the color information as well. It doesn't have a separate map. Roughness and metallic information is contained on the same layer, and that's where we have to turn on our channel here for this one. So we can see that we've got our specular or roughness channel, and we've got our roughness amount on here. So if I sample now this color here, it's sampling the roughness color on here. So if I'm going to sample this color by hitting V on the keyboard, and you can see in the roughness up here that it changes to 50%. It only sampled the roughness color. So that now means that I can come in here and just paint over the roughness with the correct roughness value. Okay, so with those done now, let's turn back on our color just temporarily. And let's go to number 5 on the keyboard. And now we can see our baking error has completely gone. So if we do have any areas on our map that we might have missed, and we do a lot of work subsequently on our model and don't want to go back and rebake, we do have options to correct those just using the painting tools inside of 3D-Coat. If you want to learn more about how I made this model, go over to the 3D-Coat channel, and I'll put the link in the description below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel. Thanks for watching.